Brought to you by Nordic VOTCast.
Welcome, Eva Rose. We're joined here today with a world-known doula and birth photographer. Traveled around the world. Not only have you taken amazing pictures of the beautiful process of birth, but you're also spreading awareness to the importance of a natural birth and the impact it has on the health of the mother, health of the child.
Yes.
So I would like you to just say, what is a doula for those who don't understand?
A doula is a birth helper. And a doula is connected in early pregnancy. So you can get to know each other and I can support the woman during pregnancy and prepare her for birth. And then, of course, when the birth happens, I will be there through the whole birth. And some people want to have a doula after birth as well, to help with all kinds of stuff, with breastfeeding and just maybe have time to take a shower and have somebody to take care of your kid. And so a doula can be there through whole pregnancy and birth and after birth.
So because I know that you come from a long line of photographers, your dad, your granddad.
Yes.
So how did being a doula become such a major center part of your life? Where did that come from?
That's quite funny, actually, because I was a doula before I even know what a doula was.
Oh.
Yeah, because I've been a birth photographer for 23 years now. Yeah.
That is a long time, specifically also birth.
Yeah, is.
It's like a PhD. It's 2 PhDs, actually.
It is a very long time. But during these years, I was just like a fly on the wall in the beginning, just taking pictures of everything that happened. But the more birth I attended, the more I kind of felt secure enough to maybe take a little bit more place in the birthing room if I saw that the woman needed me. Because seeing somebody in pain and agony and somebody who's like freaking out maybe and just stand there with your camera and just taking pictures, it didn't felt any good. So sometimes during a birth you don't have a doctor or a midwife there present all the time. So in the beginning I just started a little bit by little bit, joining the couple, talking to them, touching if I see that somebody needed to be touched or loved or taken care of. So suddenly I was more physical in the birthing room. And I never thought that I was supposed to do that, but it just felt very right. So like 10 years ago, I heard about doulas for the first time. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And then I learned so much about what a doula does. And I was like, but I'm already doing this.
Right. So how does one become officially a doula? Is there a process to it?
I have no education at all. That's the thing.
Wow.
I've just been using my intuition. And the thing is, I love to give people massages. This has been for all my life. I love to touch people and give them massages.
Right.
And then I just tried out on the women that had pain because I was thinking, okay, if I have pain and I can see in the pelvis and stuff like that, so I started pressing the pelvis and touching and I could easily see what helped the woman. So the more birth I had, the more I kind of involved myself and used my intuition to just see where am I needed now? What does she need now? Try to just read the setting.
Right. No, your methods have been proven to work.
Yes.
So it's not, if it works. We have seen that they are relieving not only pain and stress during the birth, but also calming down the mother. And I'm sure a lot of young women are really scared of birth. It's the most painful thing you ever experience. Is this, is that. So you really kind of get almost hyped up before the event throughout your entire, let's say, adolescence into adulthood before you even think of having a child. And that might build some sort of psychological, you could say, not barrier, but a psychological angst towards the event.
Yeah.
So then the role of a doula suddenly bears a whole lot of more importance than you would think. But are there any places in Norway that practice this more than others versus the rest of the world?
There are schools. Even here in Norway, we have a doula school.
Perfect.
And there is so many courses you can take. You can take massage classes, spinning babies, hypnobirth.
Spinning babies, what is that?
Yeah,
that sounds...
It's just to help the baby rotate down the pelvis. And if you lay on your back in a bed,
Right.
and the baby is supposed to turn its head to come out.
Right.
And if you just lay in bed, it's not so easy for the kid to do all these movements turning around.
Of course.
So if you up and you use your body and you can take one foot up to open the pelvis this way
Right.
and open the pelvis this way, then it's much easier for the baby to find its way because it's very narrow down there.
Exactly.
And if you move your body, it's much easier for the baby to actually find its way.
So basically, it's by manipulating the outside position of your own body,
Yes.
you manipulate the intrauterine
Yes.
position of the baby.
Mm.
That is pretty cool.
So spinning babies and something called rubuso. Rubuso is kind of the same, but you use like a scarf from, where it is? From Mexico, I think.
Does it have to be a scarf from Mexico?
No, it
Okay,
doesn't have to be
okay.
a scarf. But it's a Mexican tradition, and
Okay.
they kind of hand wave this scarf. So a proper doula should have a proper rubuso.
Okay.
And this is, I can take the rubuso over a mom's bum and just stand like this.
Uh-huh.
And this will help the baby to find the way. If it's stuck,
Right.
and the baby, you can't get a progression in birth, and it's the same. You're 6 centimeters. Then you try different kind of things because there's maybe just one little hint, and the baby can find a much better place to
Exactly.
find his head to come out.
Exactly. it's genius actually.
Yeah.
Because then you're literally like increasing like the vibration. Because you're
Yeah.
the motion you did for those listening, it's almost like I would say polishing a shoe.
Yeah.
When you polish a
Polishing
shoe
Yeah.
with the towel, is
Yeah.
that type of motion, but you
Yes.
do it with the ruboso?
A rubuso scarf.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I'd like to see that one day actually.
And I can lift the tummy up if a woman stand on all four.
Uh-huh.
And I can just take the rubuso around her tummy and just lift it slowly up. And it's so good for the woman
Right.
because you have this weight for 9 months and suddenly the weight is gone because somebody's taking the pressure off.
Wow.
So that's very releasing. And I can do that during birth as well to just help the woman be relaxed and release.
Wow, that's a
So
good one.
I love rubuso, but this is the same. I never had any course. I just see on YouTube. I see how people have been using it, and I've just been trying. So I'm trying rubuso on all my friends, and so
Because you travel around, how many countries was it? But it was basically around the world. I saw you in many places in Africa. I saw you, obviously, Europe. But how vast was this travel, whether you were
yeah, because this started just 1 year ago.
1 year?
I sold my house here in Tøyen in Oslo, and to found this trip to make a documentary called Birth Around the World. And yeah, so we started traveling in the beginning of February to Ethiopia first.
Why Ethiopia?
And that's because we want to talk about birth damages, actually. Because in Ethiopia, they have a lot of fistulas.
Mm.
Fistula is when you tear all the way to the anus. And it's just a big open hole. So your shit and your pee and everything is just running through you. And the thing is, it's very sad because this happens because a lot of women in Ethiopia give birth at home. And about 30% of women all around the world needs extra help during a birth, especially when it's complication. Here in Norway, we find out who these 30% kind of people is. But in Ethiopia, they don't have the same ability to find all the people who need extra care during the birth.
That's true. Like, as you said, we discover before the birth,
Yeah.
basically in a prophylactic manner, the ones who are at higher risk.
Yes.
And then you can either do a C-section preventively or not. And
Yes.
there is obviously in obstetrics and gynecology, the pelvic ratio and all this that you can measure to see as well. So these things, unfortunately, in places like Ethiopia, they can be screened through this process.
Yes.
So you feel the importance of a doula is even higher in such places where the risk is high.
Yeah, but there are no doulas, I think, in
No.
Ethiopia, and there are no room for a doula because the thing is in doula now in Ethiopia is like there is so many women giving birth. The hospitals, there's not enough hospitals, so a woman is alone. She can't have any birth attendant with her. The mom or the family is standing outside the birth room, so the woman is always alone. But the thing is, we went to Ethiopia to talk about this because there's an organization here in Norway called the Ethiopian found.
Ethiopian phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I know these people, so I was curious to see what are they doing, and they're helping so many of this fistula women, and I was just curious, but I never thought I was going to photograph a birth in Ethiopia because that was never the plan. But when I was in Ethiopia, I got a message from a midwife called Indy. And she's from the UK, but she has a clinic in Ethiopia. And she was writing to me, "Oh, I see that you are an Ethiopian. And do you want to come and visit my clinic? It's like in a village, small town in Gurag zone." And I was like, "Wow, yes," because we can't plan everything because birth is unpredictable.
Exactly.
And we just have to follow the flow. And suddenly there was a UK woman because in Ethiopia it wasn't so easy to understand what people were talking about. The English wasn't so good. And suddenly there was a UK woman saying, "Come here and I will explain everything for you."
You go. You don't ask questions.
So we just went and she was just the most amazing midwife ever. She was an anthropologist to begin with. And then after talking about and studying birth, she thought it was such an important theme that she wanted to become a midwife to have even more knowledge.
That's an amazing also shift in study or direction.
Yeah, it is. So now she's an anthropologist and a midwife, and she's doing so many lovely things. So she brought us into the hospital just for us to see how is the hospital in this area and how does it look and how does it. But suddenly she found the boss and she just said, "Yeah, we have a couple from Norway and they want to photograph a birth." And I was like, "What?" And there was, yeah, no problem. Just ask the women if they think it's okay, then it's okay. So we got the scrubs on and everything, and we were just standing and waiting, and suddenly there was a birth. There was a woman saying that, "Okay, yes, these people can photograph and film my birth, no problem." And the thing is that she gave birth, and we filmed everything, and we saw obstetric violence, and it was the most horrifying thing I ever seen in my entire life.
Right.
She was pushing the baby out from the stomach. It's called fundal pressure.
Right.
And this, I thought this was something they did like 100 years ago, not now.
They're not still practicing it.
Yeah, but it is practiced. And I have shared a picture on Instagram. And in one day, I got like 1,000 stories from all around the world from traumatized mom saying that this happened to me. I didn't want to talk about this to anyone because I'm so embarrassed that I wasn't able to birth my own baby. That I had to jump on my tummy to be able to get the baby out.
Do we have that picture?
Yeah, I think it's quite far down though.
Right. But yeah, it is.
And now we're trying to make signing campaign all around the world to try and make this fundal pressure illegal.
Illegal, yeah. Because it is an outdated method of inducing or accelerating birth.
Yes. If in Ethiopia, when the midwife doing this, she didn't try to harm this woman. They never tried.
Of course.
But it's just ignorance. They don't know that this is actually very dangerous both for the mom and the baby because the baby can get stuck. Because you're pressing and and the baby can't rotate the way it's supposed to be.
Exactly. There might be an obstruction, so the actual pressure will be doing more harm than good.
And it's easier to have tears, big tears, when you press it like this. And there was no rush. She was alone in the ward, so it was just me and this woman and the midwives around. But
so how do we change this? Like, I know it's hard to take a step back and basically fix or bring up with a third world solution in one sentence. But you said there's already a lack, you know?
It's lack of knowledge.
Right. So we need better education within this obstetrics, gynecology and midwifery parameters.
We just need to follow the science and the evidence. It's like the evidence is there, but nobody's listening to it. It's like, why?
Right.
And I was shocked because I got stories from even Sweden, people saying in Sweden that this happened to me last year. It was I am still traumatized of this. So when we saw that this is actually happening all around the world, it was like, let's take action. So this Indie midwife, she made an article now for the Midwifery Journal in the UK.
Right.
And it's amazing the way she explained it and everything. And so the next step now is try to see if we can make it illegal around the world. Because in the UK, you never do this.
No. So what other practices or experiences did you get on this world tour?
Yeah, because after Ethiopia, we got the C-section as well. That was very funny. We were just finished with this vaginal birth. And then there come... twin mom with she had what's the name? She had a failure in her progress, so she needed to take a C-section. And suddenly we were just standing there having a C-section as well, and that was amazing because it was from 1 minute from they started to cut to both baby was out.
Yes, C-sections are impressively fast.
Yeah,
especially if like. For those who have heard of it but never witnessed it, it's impressively fast.
Yeah. So we were just standing there, and suddenly there were 2 babies coming. I've been to C-section in Norway, but that's planned, and you have a good time. But this was we had to take the babies out now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but after that we went to the UK because I'm half English myself. My mom's from England.
Right.
And in England they have so many birth centres, and that's midwifery units for normal women giving birth without any pain relief other than warm water.
Right.
And,
no epidural.
Yes. So all the studies say that this is the best place for a mom to give birth is in a birth center because you are close to the hospital. You have professional midwives helping you, and it's easier to don't have unnecessary intervention in these places. So here in Norway, when I was born, we had 70 midwifery-led units all around Norway.
17.
No, 70.
70.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we have 5 left. And they are...
what happened?
No, everyone wants to have the birth inside the hospitals.
Why do you think this shift occurred?
It's money.
Yeah?
Because healthy birth doesn't bring any money in. As much as long as you start to do intervention, then the hospital gets all the money. So natural, beautiful, easy birth doesn't get any money. Yeah. So I think that's, but
there are a lot of obviously, as you said, the prophylactic and the contraindications to see who is in the risk zone, who isn't for natural birth. But even that is just 30%. You know, I feel also it has a lot to do with. Again, I'm speculating. It's not my field, midwifery. But I feel it has a lot to do with the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Where, as I said in the beginning, you know, most women grew up with a narrative that birth is the most painful thing you ever experience. Yeah. And then they would be like, okay, then I better be at the hospital.
That's the thing. But the women who have faith in themselves and their body and maybe already had some birth experience, should be offered a normal birthing place, not a hospital if she wants to. So here in Norway we have ABC, my favorite unit of all.
Right.
But even this unit with the most happy women of all the places you can give birth in Norway, and still this place they want to take it down.
So now, medically speaking, like, when things go wrong in such a place, what do you guys have? Like, let's say excessive bleeding.
Yeah, you can stop bleeding.
But you have all the equipment you need in these places. Or
they have a lot of equipment. Yes, they have. So usually things don't just suddenly happen in birth. That's the thing. So many people said, but yes, if I gave birth at home and I would die because I had a bleeding afterwards, or this happened, or this happened. And then I started to talk to all these people and saying, okay, but how was your birth? And then, I had some pitocin, I did this when they would. Okay, but you did so much intervention. So for the women who don't have any intervention, let the body just flow and do its work with all the hormones, and have a good midwife who can check, of course, that the baby is doing fine all the way. It shouldn't be any problems. Like many people think it occurs so fast, and suddenly the baby and the mom dies. It's like, no.
No. The labor itself lasts for some over 24 hours. Yeah. So it is a long process.
It can be a very long process. I've been to birth for 5 days, actually. That's 6 days. Yeah.
So
that's induced birth, though.
Of course. But how many, because you said you've been doing almost this for like 28 years?
No, 23.
23 years. So that is roughly 50 births a year or more or less?
I have 202 births.
202 births. What would you tell your younger self, based on these 202 births you've now experienced, to prepare for or to maybe stress on? Because when I say younger self, I mean obviously people who also are listening that maybe are feeling midwifery might be something for them. What experience have you gotten through these 200 births that will either encourage or educate?
The thing is, I always thought that I wanted to be a midwife because imagine just being able to stand there and be so close and bring these babies into the world. But the more I have been in the field, the more I found out that I don't want to be a midwife. But that's mostly because I am a doula.
Exactly.
I'm allowed to give the woman the love and support without having a boss telling me what to do and not to do, having all these things you have to write
paperwork.
down. Yeah,
no one likes paperwork.
No. And if you're a midwife, I see them standing on the screen like this, pushing in everything that's happening, not being in the moment at the same place that I can be, because I have no, I have no, what do you call it? Like,
your main objective is to be with them and the well-being and their emotional
and
well-being.
if something wrong happens, it's not I can't do anything because I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm just a photographer and a doula. So it's easy to have be calm in myself. And this is so important for my clients, that I am calm, that I am having trust. As soon as a doula or the birth attendant around you gets stressed up, you can see at the woman straight away.
Of course.
And then I go over and I hold her hand and I take care and I talk to her like, okay, I've seen this so many times. And it's easy for me to say. I can lie as much as I want just to get the woman to calm down because I know that this adrenaline is not helping her at all. I've seen so many times what adrenaline can do in a birth. So if I feel that now it's too much adrenaline in the room, I try with my whole body and to try and do something with it to calm the woman down, because then the oxytocin and all these lovely love hormones will come back to the woman and continue the birth.
That's amazing, and it makes complete sense when I think about the support system needed to give birth. We can't only stress on the physical aspect of giving birth when it's also an emotional journey. So the same way you have a support system for the physical, one has to have a support system for the emotional.
Yes.
So one shouldn't actually, clear the room. It kind of has to have this barrier has to be broken. So an emotional support system has to be there, whether it's family, whether it's doula, whether it's both. Better maybe if it's both, because then you have a professional in the room that has been to more than one birth, But it is obviously a very interesting, let's say, overlapping, because you're now taking pictures of the beginning of life,
Yeah.
You're taking pictures of the storm that occurs before birth. But question now is, have you ever been in the field where you felt that taking pictures now was not the right thing to do?
Yeah, but then I never do it. Then I just put my camera down. If I see there's any situation where it's like, this is not the moment to take picture. This is so important as well, because the people working there can be stressed out. If something happens and they know that, wow, somebody's standing there taking pictures of something that might go wrong, or they are, then I will just take my camera down and I will try and be a doula or something instead. But I love midwives more than anything. They are like, I think that if you are a midwife or a doula, you are kind of born into it with this warmth and security, and you just want to help women in this extreme setting in life. It's like the most extreme you go through, and it's so transformative, and that's so incredible to see. I see it all the time.
That's amazing.
A woman can go into birth, have no experience at all, and come out like a fucking Superman. She's like, I can do everything in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the time just stands still, and I can just look at this woman and like, wow, look how amazing a good birth experience can be.
Can be, yeah.
But I've seen the bad experience as well. And I see how difficult it can be for a mom who had a traumatic birth to have a good time afterwards in this nice period of time in the barseltid. And,
Right.
and it's not just the mom who has problem, because if you have a traumatic birth, it can go over to your kid as well. You can't give as much love and attention that you wanted to do.
Of course.
And the man maybe wants to be home and support, but he can't because he has to go to work. And it's like the whole family can get inflicted by a bad experience. And for so many years ahead as well. So that's why it's so important for women to have a good experience.
Yeah.
And I experience all the time that women are afraid of giving birth. And they are kind of, in Norway it's easy to say, but we are the safest country in the world, so I trust the hospital, so I just want to go all the way in and don't prepare myself, because why should I prepare? Since everything can happen, why should I prepare? Why just go there and just hope for the best? And I've seen these births contra the one who's prepare themselves. And the thing is, they can prepare themselves. They can wish for a home birth, a natural birth in water, and have so many thoughts about how they want their birth. But still, they can end up having a C-section,
Right.
but still be the amazing superwoman power afterwards, because I know that I did everything I could for myself and my baby.
Exactly.
If you have no experience or no knowledge or education at all, you don't know anything. It's like, it's difficult to then feel like a master woman afterwards, because that's so important.
Exactly.
For the time coming up.
So how do you how does one prepare? Because you said, those who don't prepare versus those who prepare. So during the pregnancy of a woman, how does she start preparing for birth? Is this something that she can start even mentally 9 months before, or is this something that you start 2 weeks, 1 month before?
No, you can't start 2 weeks before, but I would not prefer that myself.
Right.
I would start just in the beginning. As soon as I found out that I'm pregnant, I would start reading books, looking at movies. But that's the thing, because so many people from all around the world have been writing to me that childbirth is the most incredible and the most painful experience you will never ever have, and it's just awful, and I so not looking forward to this, and everyone told me all these horror stories, and then I come to your Instagram and I see the pictures, I see the movies, and suddenly I feel like, but hey, this is something I can do. I can manage this. This is not as frightening as I thought it was.
So one really has to turn this frightening narrative into as they say, the beautiful event that it is.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful event that has been going on since man was on Earth. Like birth, it has always been going on, and it's only recently that it has been going on in this way. Yes, we do have obviously more successful births in ratio now, obviously less neonatal deaths, and
It is, and these numbers are great, and
Exactly.
that's perfect.
but still the narrative needs to be brighter, so women can actually look forward to. Well,
Look forward
all
to it,
women
yeah.
can look forward to it.
Yeah, because that's the thing. What I see in my work is, I don't see the pain. I don't see all the awful things that people are talking about. And this is why I actually do what I do now, because I've been taking pictures of birth for many years without having anything in the media or doing anything with it. But after some years, I was like, people are still saying that birth is the worst experience they're going through, but that's not what I see at work. I really want to show people how it can look like. So actually, just down the road here in the Rådhuset, in 2014, I had an exhibition. I was like, okay, fuck it. Now I just go all in. I used all my savings and made like a big ass exhibition in Rådhuset.
What type of exhibition?
Birth.
The birth exhibition?
Yes.
And the pictures of it?
Yes, the explicit
Right.
birth pictures
Right.
that people never had seen before in 2014.
That's a genius move.
Yeah. I thought so myself, because
How
I
was
was
it
like,
received? How did people...
oh, that was the coolest thing, because there was so much people coming in, And they were in shock. They were like, is this birth? Is this how birth can look like? And the cool thing by having it in Rådhuset is that people from all around the world, tourists, are going past this place and see, oh, there's an exhibition, and they came in. And they were in shock. Some people I actually had to drag in. Come in, it's no worries, come and see. Because they was like, but I never seen pictures like this. Is it? They feel like I'm not allowed. This is too personal. I can't go into this place. But afterwards, they go through and I say, "Oh my God! So this is how birthing is in Norway. It's like this is birth
in Norway.
This is birth. This can be birth everywhere."
That is the funniest thing.
And that's why I started, because so many people came and told me, I never heard about water birth. I never seen this. And I was like, okay, I'm so curious about what happened around the world. So that's why we started this Birth Around the World tour, just to see what's going on around the world. So we was planning on taking one country by one country and talking about the country itself. But now after COVID sent us home, because we were supposed to be traveling for 52 weeks, and after 6 weeks, we got sent home. So we came to England, to the UK. We had a wonderful birth at a midwifery-led clinic. She was laying in a bathtub. It looks like a luxury suite on a hotel. And boosting all her oxytocin with all this lovely music and this lights and everything. And just how I wanted to see a midwifery-led unit birth. So as soon as we got that, we were traveling to the US to talk about medicalization. So there we were supposed to follow a woman in the hospital to see if there was any medicalization as well.
Right.
But yeah, after 6 days, suddenly Norway said we're closing down. And from one day to another, we was just sitting on the plane. On the way back to Norway, we had no place to stay.
So how else has, obviously, this crazy pandemic that came from nowhere, that everyone thought it will blow over in 2 weeks. How else has this impacted your doula photography, besides cancelling your world tour, obviously?
Yeah, we had to cancel, and we didn't have a home. So
right, because you sold your home.
I sold my home.
Oh.
And my boyfriend, he rented out his apartment for a whole year. So we have to we have to move back home into my mom's place to have the quarantine there.
Right.
2 weeks. And then we were like, okay, what to do? We're stuck here in Norway. We don't know for how long. And we understood that this will take a long time. So then we decided to buy a van and make it into our home.
Oh, that's actually very resourceful.
Yes.
That is very resourceful.
And we call it the Birthmobile. So it's just the most beautiful van. We were making it ourselves, and it's so wonderful. This is my favorite place to sleep is actually in the van. And that's so
amazing.
strange.
No, it makes sense though, because that is your passion.
Yeah.
So you want to sleep as close to your passion as possible. It's perfect, makes sense.
So we actually took. So we've been living in the car during the summer and driving around. Had a birth in Stavanger, so we just drove there, parked outside of this family's house. And in October we went to France. I had a birth in France that we were supposed to join. And I really wanted to visit this woman. We have been chatting for 9 months, and she was very into us coming to France. But I was like, it's completely locked down in all the countries. In France, you couldn't even go out after 6 p.m. And so we were like, okay, driving all the way down to France now, how can we do this?
Right.
And we would just do it. So we just sat in the car. We had all the protection. We took the COVID test that was negative, and we would just drive.
Perfect.
And suddenly we were in France, and we were living with this family for 10 days. And
how did they react seeing you in France during this period?
They loved it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that was cool because I didn't know that I had so many people following me from France on my Instagram, and they were like, "Wow, oh my God, you are in France! Please come and visit us. I will make food for you, and you can park your van here, and please come visit." But I was like, "No, we can't. It's COVID. We have to be very strict on the rules."
I think I actually saw, for those who are listening, if you guys go to her Instagram, it is called Eva Rose Birth. And I think I saw the one when you were in France.
Yeah.
It was, that's it, right? Is it this one?
A little further down. Yeah, that was a live.
This was the live one, right?
So we just, that was the day before birth. We were just sitting there and talking.
And it was, well, we can put some sound for those who are listening.
Now we just have to wait and see if people actually log in.
Yeah, it was your live send.
Yeah, this is a second live. I don't do lives.
Is it because of you, or is it because of your, let's call them clients, that you don't do live?
I just don't like Zoom and live and everything. That's
You're right.
I don't know.
You want to stay in the moment, and you want to.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it was nice. So people could kind of meet this woman that I was waiting for. And we were so into this family. Just after being there for maybe 3 hours, they had 4 kids that loved us.
Wow.
And were all over us. And yeah, suddenly we had an extra family.
That is amazing. So which one of these are hers?
These 2 on the top there.
These 2 on the top.
Yeah. So she's from Morocco.
Morocco.
And she had in France, it's very difficult to have a home birth. They have, I think it's 70 home birth midwives.
17, the whole of France.
70. Wow. But the whole of France, and it's 64 million people.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to get a home birth in France. It's very difficult to have a home birth here in Norway as well. We have kind of the same system. You have to pay for it, and the hospital prefer to have the women inside the hospital.
Right.
But luckily she found a home birth midwife and could have this experience during COVID and everything. So
she had, as you said, kids from before, but this was her first experience like this?
No, her second home birth.
Her second home birth.
Yeah, the other ones wasn't the hospital.
So talk through what we're seeing here. What she's in.
She's laying in the bathtub.
Is the bathtub?
Yeah, not bathtub, but it's like a pool they blow up.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And this is actually from Norway, because I want home birth to be part of the official healthcare system. Because like if you see in the UK or in Denmark or in the Netherlands, and even now in Stockholm, it's like you can call the hospital and say, I'm in birth now. And they will ask you, should we come to you or would you come to us? And
this is today.
This is today. So in the UK, they have so many lovely home births. And people, you don't know your home birth midwife. Like if you pay for somebody, you know this woman. If somebody comes from the hospital, it can be any, you don't know. But still, people want to give birth at home has this possibility without paying like 20,000 Norwegian kroner to do it. And the same in France. It was expensive to have a home birth midwife.
And it's also that journey, let's say if they are coming to the hospital, that is removed when they obviously come to the house themselves.
And if a midwife come home to a woman and see that, no, I think that we should go to the hospital. It could be many different reasons why. And then you just have to listen to the midwife and join. But then you have the midwife joining you back to the hospital. Because there's so many people giving birth in the car on the way to the hospital as well.
Exactly.
And it's so nice to have a midwife joining you on this trip as well. So
it's a very important staple that gets overlooked. And I'm trying to also, I always try to see the logical aspect of why certain problems exist, right? Because I don't think man is inherently malicious. I don't think so. And I don't think man inherently will stop something that benefits them. So I always like to look at, okay, what have we overlooked and why have we kept overlooking it for so long without seeing the purpose and the reason it is needed? And I truly think it always comes back to that narrative. You know, birth shouldn't be looked upon as this scary thing coming and this painful thing that happens once in a while to a woman. And everyone has to leave the room because, you know, when you see it, even on TV shows, the husband passes out. And it's like...
Hollywood fucked it up with all these stupid movies. And that's why I'm fighting so hard to get these pictures and movies out there so people can see how birth actually can look like.
It's actually really beautiful. Like this picture here, the one with the French woman, it's gorgeous. Yeah. It's amazing.
And just think about having these pictures to watch for this kid as well, when he grows up.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually.
And you can see this last one. That was a story from the last birth I had in Stavanger.
Right, it's a man holding his pregnant wife.
Yeah, but he's lifting the tummy.
I see.
He knew all the tricks, like helping her to lift the tummy up so the head could engage even better inside the pelvis. And he knew all the tricks. So together we was a dream team, me and him.
Yeah?
Because we were, I was the doula as well.
Of course.
So we did the hip squeeze and taking care of her, and she had a wonderful birth.
So he knew this because he was a doula, or
no, he was just interested in.
Amazing.
And he's a chiropractor as well, so he knows the bones, he knows how it
he
pelvis.
knows the body.
Yeah, so it was just so amazing, and I got him to write his whole birth story, and I think that's so nice that people can not only read my text because they can be boring, but people's experience, their feelings around them. So if I have a birth and they say yes to me sharing it, I get them to write their story, their feelings, what happened.
And this was a comparative photograph of a birth in a hospital?
This is a C-section.
Yeah, they're putting the EpiPen. Sorry, not the EpiPen, epidural.
Or a spinal block. Or,
exactly.
So I can join on the C-sections as well. And
that's amazing.
If you see this picture.
This is the C-section for those watching.
Yeah, so people can see how the C-section is.
Exactly.
And know more about that as well, because people are afraid of C-sections as well. There is a lot of fear in birth.
Yeah.
And
C-sections are actually statistically very, very safe. They're actually for your, they say, because I am a medical doctor, and in obstetrics, the first birth, if a woman is having only one child, a C-section is actually the least riskiest way, believe it or not, to have this birth. Now, we're talking about physiologically. It doesn't mean, as we said, the body is not the only aspect in birth. You have the emotional, and you have obviously, the feeling of going through a birth is also going to create the hormones like oxytocin and so on that will create a stronger emotional bond. So just because something might be the safest clinically doesn't mean it's the best.
No.
But it is a point for those that do not know C-sections are safe to understand that it is actually very safe and not as scary as it looks.
Yeah. So I want people to to see everything.
These are really amazing pictures, by the way, for those, people need to go in here and look. It is National Geographic or I don't know, Discovery Channel quality type of images.
That's nice of you.
Specifically for birth. No, really, it's amazing. Because you do hear some people are photographers, and then you see their pictures, and you're like, But then, this is... It's insane the way you've captured also the emotion and the way you've captured the moment in the pictures.
I think it's a little bit to do with me being kind of a doula as well, having this energy into the room that makes people relax and not think about now I'm being photographed or filmed or wherever.
Right. It is the combination of two skills that make you better at both skills rather than being specifically highly focused in one.
Because I have been better. When I'm looking at birth 10 years ago, I can oh my God, what did I do? Why did I do like this? Why
really?
Didn't I? Yeah.
Criticizing your...
Yeah. So I'm getting better and better. And that's just, the way it is.
Do you have kids?
No.
You don't have kids?
No.
I don't know if it's personal or not, but have you, how come?
I thought I would have many kids.
Right.
But life just didn't want it to happen. And... now I'm very grateful for that too, because I would never dare to sell my home and travel all around the world and live in a van and do all the things, because my life has never been A4, as we say in Norway, like a normal, regular life.
Right.
I never had a regular job. I always just been a photographer, and I can work wherever I want in the world, and I've been loving to travel, and this birth thing has been my passion for 20 years.
Wow.
And I always knew that I wanted to do something more. So I made a book called Birth. I made a documentary here in Norway called The Birth Photographer. And I've been just wanting to push out all the love and empowerment for people to just look and see and try to reduce the anxiety and fear around birth. Because I know that if a woman goes into birth being afraid, having anxiety, contra a woman going in and like looking forward to this moment and how would my body react and this is powerful instead of this is painful and so
the mindset shift is really going to have a huge impact on the birth.
Yeah, and on the hormones, and I can see and I can actually feel the hormones while I'm in the birthing room, in the birthing bubble.
So how does one, basically, how do you pick out where to go for the next birth event, and how do they reach out to you? And you just pick? You must have like 1,000 applications or something for people that are interested in you accompanying them. Or
but sometimes I just know that, especially now during COVID, I can't go to Japan or I can't go there, and so people don't ask me too much. And here in Norway, I'm not allowed to take pictures. I'm not allowed to be in a hospital because of COVID.
Of course.
But I actually got a message yesterday that Ahus, a big hospital here in Norway, now opens for doulas to go back to work. And that's so nice because almost 9 months now without being like on my regular job, being with clients, doing my job. And there is so many people who need a doula in this time of life because they're so afraid of the pregnancy itself, many are, and then the COVID on top, and knowing that the man can't, or the partner maybe can't be present during the whole birth, and there's enough anxiety, and a doula can really make a difference. So I think it's sad that they haven't allowed us back, but I can see it's COVID and we have to take care of it. So I haven't said anything. I've just been sitting here waiting. But yesterday they said yes, and I was like, finally.
Yeah, things are opening up now with the vaccine rolling out. I mean, that's why even we can do what we're doing today with the skeleton crew, but and respecting obviously the COVID regulations. But then my question is, have you thought about the vaccine, taking it yourself as soon as you can?
I haven't thought so much about it actually because I don't know if I have to take it to go travel again. We probably will.
Exactly.
I'm like waiting to see if this is a success or not.
Right. I think most people are, you know, on the edge of their seats, kind of hoping it's a success. It probably will be.
I don't have too much thoughts about that.
No.
Compared to the rest of the world who has many thoughts about the vaccines, and I don't have time to do all the research behind this because my mind is always just focusing on birth, and this has been my life for so many years, and.
This is the power of focus as well. When you stick to 2-3 things that you're passionate with and you focus on that, you reach a level of excellency that you can't really find. And I feel that's what also draws crowds to you. It's the way you capture your journey shows that you care, shows that you're under the tremendous amount of focus, and you don't take it lightly. It's like you're not doing it because. But you're rather doing it for service, for the sake of it. And that's really, really beautiful to see. And one can see it through the pictures, one can see it through the story. Who sells their house, for such a journey? Very, very few people, and only the most passionate ones.
Yeah, because it's so difficult to try and... the plan was to have a big TV team joining me on this trip. But to try and make a financial plan about giving birth, like filming a birth. You never know when it's happening. You never know how long it will take. And if you have a whole crew just sitting around waiting, it will be too expensive.
It will.
So we tried many different various, and I tried to search money from so many places. I think I get around 100 no's.
Like applying for grants?
Yeah. To do this trip, because everyone needed, we need to know that it will come on a TV station or a document, but I don't know what the end result will be.
You can't guarantee that.
No.
How can you, it's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle. You can't guarantee certain things.
It's the same. If I want to make a book, I need to have the people saying yes to print a book first, to get the money to do it, and now, so that it didn't work out. And the thing is, it's only money. I'm a Norwegian with a Norwegian citizen, so if something bad happens, I'm guessing NAV would help me, even though now they don't want to help me.
They are making it hard for people, huh?
Yeah. Because I was traveling, I can't get any money because I was out of country the last month because of COVID.
Come on, that's a...
I know, and I was working when I was traveling, but...
You're traveling for work.
Yeah, but still I have no guarantees that this will actually be something. So they didn't want to give me any money.
One tends to think, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What is Nav doing?
So I would just do this on my own, and it's funny because I have my boyfriend joining me. He was working in the oil industry for many years, and he came together with me. He doesn't have any kids. He knew nothing about birth, and we were together for 1 year. And after 1 year and 1 day, he got hit by a car, like serious. When he was cycling to his work, he was hit by a car.
Hit by a car, Jesus.
Yeah, when I was cycling, and he was supposed to be dead now, but luckily he survived. But he was like living at my place for over a year, seeing how I was working, seeing all these problems I had with trying to make this documentary happen with all these TV production people. And so together we were just like, okay, what if we just you can learn how to film, and we can just do it together, because I can film and I can photograph a little bit, and
Perfect.
he can film. So he was just sitting on YouTube and using me to learn how to film.
You guys are resourceful. You guys are
so,
very
but
resourceful.
we're not like the most professional team in the world. We are not.
When
but
it comes
still.
to pictures, you are. That part is covered. So,
Yeah.
and videography, you will learn it way quicker if you already are a good photographer.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it is about the angles, it is about the lighting, it is about capturing the mood. But once you know the technical aspect, you already have the soul from taking pictures that you can fill it in.
So together we managed to make something nice together. So actually now we changed the concept of birth around the world. Now it's called The Doula and the Dude Explores Birth Around the World.
The Doula and the Dude, that is that is a good title.
So we're making a logo now for our birth van,
Fantastic.
birthmobile. And because the plan is now to have this birthmobile. It's our home. We can cook, we can sleep, we can.
Right.
We even have a toilet there.
Yeah, of course. This is
We
not
have-
like
we have
50 years ago. These
Yeah.
ones are really high tech, and you have everything you need.
Yeah, so we could just drive. So as soon as all the countries around in Europe opens up again, the plan is to be able to, if somebody wants to book me for a birth in France, we just drive to France.
So how
When
would
we
they
park.
book you? Like for the people in France listening, and if they want to book.
Yeah, it's just contact
How do
me
you
on
do it?
mail on Instagram and
Okay.
say, hey, come.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's very convenient.
Yeah.
And how do we? So the best place to follow your journey is Instagram. Do you have any other outlets?
Not now. Not now. We have a YouTube as well. There we have like more longer and birth movies.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
Eva Rose birth there as well.
Perfect. So same like your Instagram.
Yeah, and it's nice because my sister gave birth 1.5 years ago, and this movie is called The Birth of Purdy. I think it's 400,000 people watching this.
Wow.
But this is used to educate people all around the world in the hospital, like the midwives and the doctors, because I had got so much messages from all around the world. People saying, "Oh, today at school we saw your video of Purdy, the birth of Purdy." Because in this birth, it was my sister. I was able to get very up close and personal.
Because you know her
Yeah.
more than you know most people.
And the cool thing is that I saw my sister being born when I was 7 years old. So Sarah, the one who was giving birth 1.5 years ago, I saw her being born when I was 7 years old at home in my parents' bed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a very. How did that feel?
Oh, this is why I'm doing this, I think. Because I was amazed. I was 7 years old and I was the proudest big sister in the world afterwards. I was just running around Remøya, where I'm from, screaming around to all the neighbors, "I just saw my baby sister being born at home." And people already think that we were strange because, my mom from England, my father was a photographer, and we live in an island where 99% of the people there was fishermen or working in oil, and we were kind of a little bit the outsiders,
outlier, yeah.
the hippies, and giving birth up in the mountains, and But it was incredible, and that made me not afraid of birth in the beginning, because this was in '85, and I hadn't seen any birth movies. I was 7 years old. I had no.
So that was your first experience and contact with birth.
Yeah, and that made me think that birth was incredible. So when I started freelance in Oslo as a photographer, I one of my first customer was a magazine called Pregnant, actually in this house that we are now. They had the office here. And they made me, they asked me if I wanted to take pictures of birth. I remember because the boss of this company, they asked me, can you please come and visit me? I want to have a meeting with you. And I was like 19 years old and I was so afraid, what have I done? Yeah, what have I done?
What have I done?
They don't like my pictures. Oh my God. But she was very like serious, sitting down and like looking me in the eyes and like, okay, I have a question for you. And I was like, oh my God. And she was like, I was wondering if you wanted to be the one photographing birth for this magazine, because we are a pregnancy magazine and we want to have birth in this magazine. And the people I've been talking to so far do not want to do this.
No.
And for me, my reaction was, it was my birthday and it was Christmas and New Year's and all in once. I was like, fuck
Of course.
yeah.
But why would someone turn that down?
Because I think maybe things is scary.
Okay,
They didn't
I
know.
see. So there were photographers that they had approached that were turning down the gig of...
Yeah. So she was a little bit afraid to ask me, because she said like, okay, you're just 19 years old.
Right.
You can see things that maybe make you not want to have a baby, and maybe I can fuck you up. Like I don't want to do anything harm for you. And I was like, no problem. I saw my baby sister being born when I was 7 years.
I got this.
My mom, she loves birth, and we have a very natural
approach to
to both birth and bodies and everything. So she was like shocked. She was like, okay. So then I just started taking pictures for this magazine for the birth. So it was just for the magazine for many years, until people started contacting me like on a private base and say, okay, I want this kind of pictures as well. It actually had to be in the New York Times magazine.
Wow.
Because there was on a headline on the New York Times is that now people call the photographers before they call their midwives or the OBG, you know. And then a Norwegian radio station contacted me and wanted to have an interview, and they say, this is on the New York Times today. Can you say the same? Is this a big thing in Norway now? And I was like, no, it's not a big thing, but I hope it can be.
Right.
And it kind of exploded a little bit after that. It's a little bit sad that we have to see the trends in the States before we can do it ourselves.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. It's even sadder when the trends we see in the States are, you could say, almost started by Norwegians. So it's like you are doing something in Norway and it doesn't get the support you want. And then you step out for a second and it becomes a trend, and Norway is like, is this real? And it's like, yo, I was in the country doing it. You guys didn't give us attention. When I stepped out, it's like... So, I don't know. I feel people are very fixed in their ways here. And they're very like, oh, no, we have always done this way. So why do we have to change?
Yeah.
Norway is a population of, 5 million? So we're not that many. But also when it is that small, I feel... we tend to take less risks and follow the crowd, because the crowd isn't big. So you don't want to be against that. You want to feel like you're part of this tiny community. And it's an amazing thing. It's a good thing. I'm not bashing in any ways, but I'm saying it makes it difficult for certain key trends to start. Because they look, in the US, they look in England, they're like, it's not out there. So who are we to start it here? Should be the opposite. So
when people in the US started taking pictures of birth like 5-6 years ago, it kind of started then. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I've been doing this for many years already. And I was like, so when people read my Instagram and see that I've been doing this since 1998, they were like, what?
1998, that's amazing. Yeah. The amount of knowledge also, and the amount of people you have helped through such a long journey of service, I feel is changing this narrative of scary birth, and it is important. And that's even why I felt you're perfect for this podcast and perfect for the kind of people we look for to fill this seat. It's the groundbreaking thinking and the groundbreaking service that unfortunately goes under the radar a lot. But when you put a magnifying glass on it, you see tectonic plates are moving. Like this is something that needs to be looked upon and implemented more. And I mean, it's a whole world. Half the population is women. Half the population will give birth at some time. Yet we don't hear about it this way.
And that's why I do what I do. And now, 2 days ago, actually, I started an organization here in Norway.
Wow.
Because I'm a little bit tired of standing there screaming alone.
Everyone would be. Anyone would be.
It's like, So I kind of needed more support around me. And Jordmorforbundet here in Norway, it's like the midwifery organization.
Right.
They said to me that it would be better if you organize yourself instead of standing there alone screaming.
That is a good tip.
Yeah.
That is a good tip.
And they said that we really need an organization here in Norway to kind of take care of them, if you can say the healthy pregnant women, like the ones who will can give birth without any help.
Right.
And it's about 70% of the birth.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So they said that we need a voice, somebody who can talk their language and to help focus on this.
Exactly.
And so these last days, I've been just circling my head who I want to have in this union, because I have such a big network now. I have to use my network. So I know the best doctors and the best midwives and everything. So now I just handpicked the best team, a politician, one lawyer, a midwife working in a hospital, one working at home, a doctor. So
That's amazing. It's
we have like the perfect team now. So we called it Your Birth, or Din Fødsel in Norway.
Your Birth, Din Fødsel. Okay.
Yes.
And this team, you said 2 days ago?
2 days ago, I did the Brønnøysund, the signing of the papers.
Registered it officially.
Yes.
That is like the Avengers of midwifery, birth, doula, and but this organization, what impact do you see it having in 1-2 years? And what's the vision long term?
The vision is that the thing is why I do this now, because I hate everything that I have with paperwork, with all these strange words that I don't understand, and I have to learn.
Yeah.
I've been really trying hard all my life to not do things like this. But now I came to a point that I can actually see that I think this can actually work.
Yeah.
And that's because of social media, because everyone is sharing their stories, and it's easy to get out there to the women. So I was like, okay, the time to do it is now, because I'm still stuck here. I didn't know that I was able to go back to work, so I didn't have any work. I can't do too many photo shoots, but because people are still afraid of the COVID. So I think it was a perfect timing. And now in 2 years, they're going to revidere, make kind of new rules on how to approach birth.
Oh.
Because we have all the regulation, this is how we do it in Norway now. I think it was these rules kind of made in 2012 or something. So they're now making new
Of course.
regulations.
Yeah, regulations.
Yeah. And so now we have 2 years to try and implement our kind of vision into the government and the people who understand, who's going to
So the
decide.
regulation and basically your way of doing it, you're trying to mend it as close as possible before, the 2 years is over.
Yeah. And now I want to try and make, one of my main things is to don't take away the midwifery units when this is other places that actually work. Don't shut down the hospitals and make it even more difficult for the people to give birth living in the countryside in Norway. And making home birth part of the official government healthcare system. And giving trust back to this field, to the women, to the birth worker, to everyone. And making movies that shows natural birth. So this organization, I think it could be great. And
I think it's needed.
And I think we want to try and maybe make it international. If this works in Norway and when people actually hear us, hopefully they will hear us. I don't know. I want to try. I go all in and just hope for the best.
Exactly. No, you have this good focus and I think it's needed. I remember... this was when I was back in medical school. I was working I won't say the name of the hospital, but I was working in a hospital here in Norway. And just to show you how there was a lack of this transition in the system, it was maybe I was working a night shift And I had left my department to go downstairs to get something from a vending machine or whatnot, right? And in the lobby, there was a man, his 2-year-old son, and his pregnant wife going into labor. And he's like, no one will help us. And I'm like, what are you doing in the lobby? He's like, we called, and they can't obviously send someone here. They said I'm in the lobby, and no one will really get us where we need to be. And it was the most confusing thing I had seen. Here's a woman going into labor in a hospital, in the lobby at 2 a.m., and no one is helping because you are out of the system in a way. You're out of the technical procedure of how you should enter a hospital. So obviously, I accompanied them and we got them in. But it was a proof for me to show that there are gaps in the system that you can still fall through with something as old as birth. Huge gaps in the system. If you could, this is what I love to do. I love to make things difficult for you. If you could sum up what you do in a phrase, what would you sum that up as?
Taking away fear.
Taking away fear. I think I love that.
We have a society so full of fear for everything, and I can understand that people are anxious about birth and there is a lot of uncertainties, but I stand in this birthing suite so many times and I see that this can be the most amazing experience ever. I actually seen women giving birth without even having pain. Yeah. People just laughing at me when I say that, but people who practice hypnobirth and the Lamaze breathing, and they're just laying there and oh, there's the baby. And I was like, I wasn't even ready with my camera because I was like, what? I didn't even close to think that the baby was coming now, but they're so in control and just taking the baby on the chest. And so it's just, I want to show people what I see at work because I know that when people see how amazing it can be, they maybe want to prepare themselves a little bit more. They maybe will not be as anxious and having anxiety that will block the perfect hormones that we have in our body. So I just want to give trust back. I want people to trust their bodies, and of course this empowerment is so important to the next phase, being a family. Right. So
that's beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I think we might end with that. But before we go, I want you to say again for those hearing where they can follow you, what projects you have coming up next.
Yeah. They can follow me on Eva Rose Birth on YouTube and Instagram. Birth around the world will happen. I don't know where and when. And it will be an exhibition, it will be a book, it will be everything. But we just have to go back to travel to see what we can manage to get from our travel. So hopefully soon people will hear about the Doula and the Dude explores birth around the world.
There you go, guys. Yeah. So follow her, Eva Rose Birth, Instagram, YouTube, and that's the best.
And follow Your Birth, Din Fødsel. It will be official in some days. It's not official yet. But it will be. And just join this group and follow, because we will go giving so much information. And yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So you guys hear it. You will see it. You announce it on your Instagram.
Yeah, I will announce it after the weekend.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
So educative and amazingly informational.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much, Mehdi.
Thank you very much, guys.